Welcome to Encouraging Wellness, where we shed light on the plethora of holistic healing and wellness methods so you can give yourself the power to ask why and become bigger than the condition you are dealing with or the illness you are currently fighting. Join Pamela Worth as she sits down with doctors, medical experts, healthcare practitioners, and those with unique healing stories to dissect groundbreaking practices that combine traditional Western medicine with alternative modalities. Hear conversations that empower you to go beyond hurtful stigmas, outdated practices, and unnecessary labels, guiding you towards a healthier and happier you. Here, we highlight your true worth and help unleash your inner courage. Now your host, Pamela.
Hi, this is Pamela with Hello Health, and I am so happy to have with me today Dr. Mike, who has a very accomplished background in nutrition and is a doctor, as well as an author, and so much more. Welcome.
Well, thanks, Pamela, for having me.
So tell us, Dr. Mike, how did you get into health and wellness, and what is your journey and your focus and your passion?
Yeah, it's a long journey. Your listeners probably hear an accent. I'm originally from Belgium. I grew up in Belgium, single mom home, went to the University of Brussels, did physical education first because I was into sports and it was a lot of fun. But what are you going to do with a PE degree, right? So I decided to get into physical therapy and then started traveling with the Belgian Olympic swim team in preparation for the Olympic Games in Atlanta in 1996. And at the time, they were short of physical therapists in the United States. So I got recruited to come and work here at age 26 or something like that. I had to save $400 and back my backpack because we weren't well off at home. So I had to save a little bit of money to make that happen. And I came here, of course, started working in physical therapy, but got exposed to other modalities such as acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, etc. And I saw that combining that East and Western medicine actually gave better results. So I went back to school, got my Doctor of Oriental Medicine, license in acupuncture, board certified in Chinese herbs, homeopathy, etc., and started kind of my own business. But after approximately another 1,000 patients, I wasn't really happy because even though these, what they call alternative, which is basically original medicine, but they call it alternative medicine, practices, they were indeed less harmful and less invasive than conventional medicine, meaning drugs and surgeries and injection. But I really feel I didn't get the lasting results either. So I had to go back to basics. So I got my PhD in holistic nutrition and I started looking at Mother Nature and animals in the wild because the truths always lie in Mother Nature. And so by combining those, I really started to get really confident I could help people regain control of their health. And then fast forward, obviously, I got into anti-aging, and then I got into regenerative medicine, which are all the stem cell-based therapies. I became the CEO of a stem cell clinic where we treated top athletes from around the world, including NFL players, heavyweight champion boxers, etc. And then COVID came, so we had to close the clinic, and that's when I really had to do a lot of thinking and try to find my own purpose in life a little bit. And I always love to teach, speak, and educate people. So after the COVID era, I started to build my speaking business again and wrote another book. And now I'm a coach and a mentor for other people, not only to regain control of their health and become superhuman and biohack, but also help them in their business. I have a corporate impact program and or their personal life. So that's how we got here, Pamela.
That's awfully exciting and quite the journey. So, kind of thinking back in terms of health and wellness, is there anything that you really find monumental in terms of diet or certain modalities that you would use to help people, maybe some of the types of people that you would help, anything around that?
Well, it's a good question. And I would say that certain modalities work for certain people and not for others, right? Everybody's in a different stage of health. I always, classify my clients in 3 stages. Unfortunately, most of them fall in the first stage, which is we need to regain control of your health. In other words, if you're in pain or you're diagnosed with a medical condition, we need to get you back to quote unquote normal and eradicate the pain and get rid of those medical conditions. So that's unfortunately where most people fall. But then when we're back to normal, we need to optimize our health. In other words, we need to feel fit and strong and vital, and we need to be in control of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And then stage 3 is, once we're in optimal health, it would be the ideal foundation to reap the benefits of what we call today biohacking, or objectively reversing our biological age by upgrading our body and our mind. So those are usually the 3 stages. So based on the where the person is, they can benefit from certain modalities. But when we're talking about health and wellness in general, I like to keep it very simple. It's just conventional medicine and the big pharma that made it complicated to make a lot of money. But the solutions have been there for centuries, basically. And to me, there's only one cause of all disease, and it's called toxemia, which simply means toxins in the blood. But to describe that in a little bit more detail, we obviously, as part of our normal metabolism and daily living, we generate toxins and we generate waste products. But normally our body excretes those and gets rid of those through the kidneys, through the bowels, through the skin, etc. So normally in a healthy body, no harm is done. However, if we are exposed to or ingest far more toxins than the body possibly can eliminate, then there will be an accumulation of toxins in the blood and the body. And that's what we call toxemia. Now, toxemia does 2 things. Number 1, these toxins floating around, they will start antagonizing healthy atoms. And so they steal an electron from a healthy atom, which then becomes unstable, which we all know as free radicals. And we all know that free radicals cause damage in a cascade type of way, even on a cellular and DNA level. So that's number 1. Number 2, because those toxins are floating around and they're accumulating, our body needs to neutralize those and try to manage those. So our body is in a constant state of emergency. And in conventional medicine, we simply label that systemic inflammation. But even according to conventional medicine, systemic inflammation now is directly related to 90% or more of all diseases, right? Even cardiovascular disease today is regarded a result of systemic inflammation versus the big hoax of cholesterol that did exist. So that's what toxemia is causing. So now you can actually see that toxemia causes all disease. So what's the solution to all disease? To me, we don't chase symptoms. We don't chase diagnosis. We just got to look at the body as a whole. So we need to keep toxemia in check. So theoretically, it's pretty easy. We need to reduce the intake and exposures to toxins and mitigate those as much as possible. And they can come from our food, from our drinks, from our medications, from our environment, polluted air, polluted water, electromagnetic frequencies and radiation, and the list goes on. So we need to reduce and mitigate those while simultaneously increase the intake of nutrients that fight free radical damage, systemic inflammation, and repair our DNA. And so if we learn to keep the toxemia in check, then we can stay disease-free and heal if we are on a disease state right now. So it doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah, well, you make it sound simple. So obviously, clean living is the goal. But when you're first starting to work with someone, how do you find out kind of what the baseline is in terms of the toxic overload? Do you have any favorite tests or ways of knowing?
Yeah, I like to do a neural check, which is just a device that I have if people are close to me that tests many different things, stress mostly, but also hormone levels, biological age, those types of things. There's other tests that we can do, epigenetic testing, genetic testing, gut biomes, to set baselines, and even regular blood tests, right? So I do like to use objective measures to set a baseline and see where we are, besides obviously a thorough intake and listening to the patient, which doctors today don't do anymore, right? And then obviously implement certain strategies to improve certain areas where we feel we need to put the attention first, and then obviously reevaluate with the same test to monitor or to see if our measures are effective. But I like to keep it general, and one of the things that I like to test immediately, obviously, is your CRP, your C-reactive protein, which is an indicator of systemic inflammation. And so whatever measures we implement, if we can drastically reduce systemic inflammation, then we not only will have less pain, but we will drastically reduce the risk of any and all disease at the same time.
No, I like that. And I believe CRP is a blood test. It can't be done through saliva or anything else. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then
it's a high sensitive HS CRP that I actually order. Yeah.
Okay, great. And so then you're able to order these, and then people can do it in their community, and then get the results, and then you're able to work.
Sure.
With them.
Yes, and then we implement the steps that I think are appropriate for that person in that stage, and then we always can redo the test to see how effective our program is.
Yeah, no, I think that's super. What about diet and nutrition is always hot topic with people, whether it's vegan, vegetarian, keto, high protein, whatever. What is your philosophy around it?
Well, it's a hot topic because it's $1 billion industry, and one fad diet doesn't work, and then people jump on the next one because the celebrity on TV told you it works for them, right? And we all know that most of those are yo-yo diets. While you're on it, you lose weight. When you stop, you regain the weight, because basically they're all low-calorie diets. They're just packaged differently. And low-calorie means is you're taking in less calories than your body needs, and therefore, obviously, you're going to not only shed some toxic fat, but you're going to lose some muscle mass and some water, which is not the healthiest way. So for people that are listening that really need to lose weight, they need to get on a real program which focuses on regaining control of their health and optimizing their metabolism. So the best weight loss program that I recommend now is called, H2 Thin, THIN. I can get you a link or something later, but these people I met in Dallas, and I think they have the best weight loss program because they basically, after a thorough intake, they decide what metabolic type you are based on a thorough questionnaire. And then based on that metabolic type, they're going to basically give you a 5-week nutrition program. And so I know many celebrities and people and colleagues that went through that exact program and not only lost that weight, 30, 35 pounds on average in 5 weeks, but they kept it off and they felt much better because you're not, focusing on shedding weight, you're focusing on balancing and optimizing, modulating that metabolism. And when you do that, then the body is going to actually shed that excess fat as a side effect of you trying to optimize your health. It's the same with systemic inflammation. If you have that systemic inflammation in your body, the body's too busy trying to put out the fire. So now it's going to store fat in fat cells because it doesn't have any time to break it down, right? And so, but most people understand that fat cells are releasing mediators such as cytokines that are pro-inflammatory. So it's a vicious cycle. If we gain weight, we're going to cause more inflammation in the body, which then is going to store more fat. And so a lot of people have a difficult time breaking that cycle. And instead of focusing on losing that excess weight, what we like to do is we focus on reducing again that systemic inflammation, which then the body as a result will have time to naturally reduce that or burn that fat, and therefore you will not regain it. And so that's kind of the key, is focus on your metabolic type and focusing on that systemic inflammation. And that way it won't be a yo-yo diet either.
Yeah, no, I like that. Do you find that metabolic type kind of matches blood type of people, or do you not really necessarily find
I don't really correlate that much. I'm not the biggest believer in the blood type thing, but I do believe that not necessarily metabolic type, but I believe most people, especially those that need to lose weight, their metabolic system is, inhibited for some reason. And so we need to release that and we need to optimize that. And once we can unblock that metabolic system, then it can go back to work. That's what I believe.
Yeah, which kind of leads to a little bit of the Oriental medicine and philosophies there. Do you find any modalities that are particularly helpful in terms of releasing certain energy points or blockers in the body that you really like or have used over time? Or
many times, a lot of our symptoms, physical symptoms, as you know, are caused by our emotions and by our stress, and there's still too many people out there that think there's no relation. But usually any physical expression of pain or disease, we can boil it down to that same systemic inflammation, but at the same time, worry, stress, fear, all those negative emotions, they basically feed disease. So when we're talking about acupuncture or Chinese herbal medicine, if we really want to get to the root cause, we obviously want to do a thorough holistic intake, but at the same time, I would use acupuncture points to release stress and open up all the meridians and those types of things. So we're talking about yin tongue, do 20, liver 3, large intestine 4, those types of things.
No, it's cool. And it's interesting. The way I got into this journey was from my son, who was misdiagnosed with Tourette's and OCD, anxiety, depression. I was told he was autistic at the age of 6 and had to take care of him the rest of his life. And lo and behold, he's fine now. He's a perfectly healthy teenager. Yeah. But what had happened with him was he had he was low in D3, low in B12, genetic marker MTHFR, had CMV, which is a very common virus, had high strep titers in his blood, even though he was negative for strep throat. And all these things together created this perfect storm, and his immune system stopped working. Yes. And the infection crossed the blood-brain barrier and was causing major inflammation issues. So then I kind of learned.
Cascade.
Yeah. So I learned, very quickly what causes inflammation, how to reduce as much as you can. And it's simply very difficult. But then the doctor had also told me about certain plants that help, with detox and reducing inflammation too, which I think is cool. Do you have any favorite things that you like in terms of detox? I mean, all of our bodies are just overloaded, and trying to get as much out as we can so that it can focus on what it needs to is really hard.
Yeah, kind of, there's so many general detox ones, right? I don't really have a favorite. Again, I think it has to be a customized approach, but generally speaking, the best ways to detox are fundamental things. It's clean water and clean air. So the water that I'm drinking here is hydrogen infused water. So it's obviously clean because I got the filter system. It takes all the impurities out, but then it's infused with hydrogen. And if you go to hydrogenstudies.com, you can learn all the benefits of hydrogen in your body for your gut, your digestive system. It establishes the right electrical voltage or potential for your stomach and your gut. So anaerobic bacteria, which are your good gut bacteria, can colonize. People with digestive symptoms, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel, intolerances to gluten or dairy, whatever you name it, 3 weeks on this water, and it all dissipates, because our regular doctors would put them on a special diet, but it still doesn't really work very well. And that's because even if you take probiotics and eat healthier foods, if the environment is not set up for the colonization of the good bacteria, there's not going to be any change. So I think sometimes, even when it comes to detox, it's fundamentals and creating the right balanced environment. So hydrogen, water, healthy air, enough sleep. And so many times when it comes to rest and sleep, because that's where the body does detox, does repair, does replenish. And so that's what happens during sleep. So we got to be able to get into deep delta sleep, because that's where the body does the cleanup process. And then the other thing that I can think of immediately as a foundational detox is your lymph system, right? Your lymph system is a major part of your immune system because it carries all the white blood cells throughout your body. So, and you can look at the lymph system almost as a circulatory system. It's a plumbing system. And so we don't want it to be clogged up. So we need to drink a lot of water. We need to move a lot so we can be sedentary. And with movement, I mean walking, dancing, just moving. It doesn't have to be organized sport, or it doesn't have to be going to the gym, but we need to constantly move. So our lymph system and circulatory system don't get clogged up, and we can get the nutrients and the oxygen to all the cells in our body, right? So, I mean, I know your question was more focused on the specific herbs and plants, but everybody can Google those, and there's good one out there. But I just want to refocus on, just some fundamentals, which is clean air, clean water, good sleep, good rest, and movement. They are the best detoxes out there still.
No,
and grounding, right? Grounding. So walking barefoot on the beach in your yard, or if you're not close to a beach, or you don't really have time to go barefoot in your yard because you're a busy person, I've been sleeping on a grounding, we call it an anti-aging bed cover, because I do have to sleep and it doesn't take me any time. So I have a bed cover that I plug in, and it puts me in a closed loop with Mother Earth. So it protects me from electromagnetic frequencies and radiation, but at the same time, those negative ions are fed to me 30% of my day because I sleep 7-8 hours. So today there's many technologies and strategies out there, even for the common person, that don't have to be very expensive, that we can use to, mitigate the intake of toxins and at the same time feed our body the things that it needs to stay in optimal health.
So that's super interesting. So there's literally like a grounding cover that you put underneath your sheets. Is that how that works? Or?
Well, they have an anti-aging bed too, but I have a good bed, so I didn't want to buy their bed. But they have a cover every size, whether it's full or double or queen or king. So I got a king bed. So it's just a cover you put over it, over your mattress, and then you just plug it in. Huh. And actually, there's a lot of people that I will say, oh, does it really work? Does it really work? Well, it works because all I do when I want to know if something works when it comes to electromagnetic radiation, and I have a best-selling book on it in 2022 called EMR, The Invisible Threat. There was a bestseller on Amazon. But the simple way is you buy an EMF meter. And so you can measure the radiation around your body, everything that's coming, the artificial light, your appliances, whatever it is, you can measure it. And it gives you a number. And as soon as you put a hand on the cover or you lay on it and you close the loop with Mother Earth, it goes to zero. Because now all that radiation goes back into the ground, back to Mother Earth. So, people sometimes say there's not enough research on it. I mean, research today, you got to be careful because a lot of it is propaganda, right? Number one. And number two, sometimes if you can measure and see things for yourself, then you don't need the research. So the meter is not going to lie because I bought it online and I didn't buy it from the company that sells the anti-aging bed cover. So
that's good. That's really cool. Let's see here. Mental health. Obviously, you've done a ton of work in mental health. So talk to us a little bit about what you're experiencing, what your thoughts are around this.
Yeah, I always had a little bit of experience in it, but during COVID, I was asked to help out and do a lot of pre-screening calls for medical marijuana. And to my surprise, I did hundreds of calls every day almost. And it was like amazing amount of people that suffer from this anxiety, depression, ADHD, worry, fear, uncertainty. And yes, there are drugs out there. And yes, there's, therapy out there. But what I really found, Pamela, and that's what inspired me to write my last book, is that a lot of the underlying cause of that is people no longer have a purpose in life. So people are going through life, they're going to their job, they're going to school, whatever, we're bombarded with 14,000 digital messages on average each and every day. Our brain is not organized enough to organize that chaos, basically. And so we always feel overwhelmed. The boss may throw stuff at you. You may have to go home and get your kids to soccer. And then there's the partner and this and that. And we never seem to be able to catch up. And then there's the financial situation of most people. So if you're not in control of your life and you don't know what tomorrow brings or next week brings, of course, you're going to worry. Of course, you're going to feel uncertain. Of course, you're going to be a little bit fearful, consciously or unconsciously. And that then translates in what? Anxiety, depression, and those types of things. And so what I do is I wrote a book, The IZOD Method. IZOD stands for In the Zone, On Demand. We can talk about it later if you like. But it really starts with, in order to be successful, we got to really stop the rat race here and basically, ask ourselves, and I help people doing that with exercises and questions, are you living your purpose? What is your purpose in life? Or we confirm your purpose in life, because we need to be passionate and it needs to be fire in our stomach of what we do each and every day. And then once we find that purpose, we need to regain control of our life, because usually we're not organized. And so when we start to get organized of our agenda and we organize our calendar and we know what tomorrow brings and we know what our dreams and goals are, and we have a plan and a strategy to get there, the more organized we get and the more clear we are about the future, the less stress, worry, fear, anxiety we have. And so I found by taking it a step further and talking about purpose of life with people and redefining that and helping them with tips and strategies to start regaining control of their life, it really gets rid of a lot of those things you just mentioned without drugs, without therapy, without medication.
Yeah. I totally agree. I will say, so like, for instance, one of my kids, he's got ADD, and getting him to stay organized, so then he doesn't feel anxious or distracted is a situation in itself. And do you ever find it's more challenging to work with people with ADD, for instance, in terms of how to help them understand that they can do
of course. I mean, all of people have similar symptoms. ADHD, it's kind of affecting their life to the next level. So we have different grades of this inability to focus or be productive, and procrastination and fidgeting, right? And so most of my book is about tips and strategies to take that, in or get control over that. Because especially focus now, it's not just people with ADHD, it's most people out there. The average attention span today is 6 seconds. So most of your listeners already lost us, Pamela. 6 seconds. And that is because we have this dopamine overload in our society. And you probably heard about that, the dopamine overload. So we have 5 intelligence hormones: dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. And when they are in balance and optimal, that's when we're in the zone. That's when we win. That's when we can get things done. That's when we're productive, right? And most people don't know how to get into that zone. Because most of us are in an overload of dopamine. Dopamine is the reward hormone. So when our brain squirts a little dopamine, it feels good. It's like getting a pat on the back. So as humans, we like that feeling, and so we seek it. So bad and sugary foods and energy drinks and coffee, they all give us a dopamine squirt. But now social media is the number one thing that gives us dopamine. So if somebody likes your post or comments on your post or gives you a heart on Instagram, it's another dopamine squirt. So we seek more of it, and that's why we spend too much time on social media. But when we have an overload of dopamine, that means we have an imbalance of those 5 intelligence hormones. And the result of that is brain fog, unable to focus, unable to get started, procrastinating, fidgeting, and it's a vicious cycle. So the way I help these people is, number one, is just like I'm doing now, is making them aware why they're on in brain fog, why they can't focus. It's the dopamine overload. So yes, we need to get rid of those energy drinks and Red Bulls. And yes, we need to maybe upgrade your diet. And more importantly, let's evaluate how much unnecessary time you spend on your social media and your cell phone. And let's free up that valuable time to work on your real goals and dreams and passions and purpose, right? And so now we're going to get a handle on it, because their social media is controlling them. Their phone is controlling them. So we got to retake control. Doesn't mean they can't use it anymore, but we're going to define exactly what we're going to use it for, when we're going to use it, how long we're going to use it. And so now we're in control of it. And if that balances the 5 intelligence hormones with or without the help of some nootropics, and just simply with some strategies, then we have the ability again to focus, to get some work done, eliminate distractions, etc.
Yeah. And then nootropics, do you find that there's certain types of mushrooms or certain ingredients in the nootropics that you think are most beneficial?
There's many nootropics out there. Obviously, the reason I look into those, because I'm always been against drugs, of course. Only emergency medicine is necessary. If I get in a car accident tomorrow, yes, please save me. But otherwise, I don't even have health insurance, even though I can afford it, because it's the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. So why would I pay to go to the doctor, right? But having said that, there were too many people even in my close environment that were on Adderall, Wellbutrin, Ritalin, and those types of things. And if you look at the inserts and the side effects, they're not just small side effects. We're talking about seizures, psychosis, increased risk of heart disease. So these are serious. So then, in my profession, we got to look for safer alternatives, things that also help you getting focused and being more productive, but don't have the side effects. And that's where nootropics come in. So those are basically natural smart drugs. And, there's many out there. Of course, we have nicotine and caffeine. Those are the most known ones, but I don't recommend those either, because they give you the jittery effects and you'll pay for it later. But you have ginkgo biloba, you have Brahma, you have Bacopa, you have vanillin, which is the main ingredient in vanilla, and the list goes on. But about 2 years, I stumbled upon something called a Focus Plus, made by a company called ClariGenZ Health. And so they have 4 ingredients, biocitroid, which is a patented terpene from a blood orange or citrus fruit, if you will, from the Southeast region of Asia. And at 30 milligrams of higher, that terpene is able to enter the blood-brain barrier, so it has a fast effect versus other supplements. It usually takes weeks to build up in the system and possibly have a positive effect. So it works pretty fast within 30 to 60 minutes. And then the company added 3 other neuroagents to it, L-tyrosine, phenylalanine, and phosphatidyl. They're amino acids and neuroagents that also help with memory, focus, and also even increase signaling and neurotransmission in the brain and stimulate the formation of new brain cells. So there's also a long-term benefit, not just a short-term benefit. And so there's no jittery effects, there's no side effects, it's 100% safe. And so I always tell people, try it. And actually, you can get a free sample at trysmartpill.com. And for some people, it does wonders. And for other people, they say, I didn't feel anything at all. And that's okay. You know, it worked for some, it doesn't work for others. And that's just the reality of most modalities, most supplements and things like that. But it can't harm you. So those people who feel a benefit, it's very helpful, especially if we can get them with drugs like Adderall.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, you know, for people like my son, we've had a lot of success with things like sunflower, phosphatidylserine, and different types of mushrooms, turkey tail. And
yes, very good.
Yeah. So anything else that I may have forgotten to ask, or anything else you want to bring up?
Well, you know, just a little bit about the new book. It's getting very popular. IZOD stands for In the Zone on Demand. So when people think about In the Zone, they usually think about athletes or maybe musicians, right? And actually, being in the zone on demand is something that everybody can master. Whether you're John Doe or whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist or a performer, it doesn't matter. If you master my IZOD methods, meaning being in the zone on demand, it's kind of, you can turn on and off your focus, your productivity, and you learn how to optimize those and balance those 5 intelligence hormones. There's 3 steps. First is purpose of life, which we talked about, and creating that control. And then the second step is we need to create that plan and strategy based on your goals and dreams. And most likely you will need to build what I call a team of experts around you, because we can only reach our highest potential, not by ourselves, but with people that we need. And usually those are people that are strong where we are weak, because we've been told in the past we need to work on our weaknesses. I 110% disagree with that. You need to keep working on your strengths. You need to know your weaknesses so you can surround yourself with people that are strong where you are weak. And then the third step is where health comes in, because that's where we're going to really upgrade the body and the mind, but mostly the mind. Well, it's not mostly, because everybody knows, everybody understands how we need to upgrade the body, right? It's become healthier, become more vital, strong, etc. But the mind is what most people forget, because the mind is not only in control of the body, but the mind also sets the blueprint for your success. And so a lot of people have many false core beliefs. And so we need to work on the belief system with people, the belief that they can, unleash their superpower, that they can be successful, that they can be a millionaire, that they can be happy, that they can find the right partner in life. Whatever it is their goals and dreams are, we need to work on their belief system that is not only possible, but that we can make that happen through visualization, manifesting, again, that belief system. And today, there's so many technologies and strategies available, such as brain tap, breath work, visualization, that actually helps ordinary people like myself get into those different brain waves and stages much, much easier than 1 or 2 decades ago.
No, that's amazing. Thank you. The meditation and getting into breath work is one of those things I'm still working on a daily basis. That does not come.
Well, check out my retreat in Costa Rica coming up Labor Day weekend. We do the retreat is called Biohacking with Breathwork. It's in Costa Rica. So
that sounds nice.
Check it out, because it's going to be great. We got one of the top masters in the world doing the breathwork with us.
Well, super. Well, thank you, Dr. Mike. We really appreciate you being on today. And if anybody wants to find more information about you, how did they do that?
One great spot, the website, biohackingunlimited.com. I got my books there. I got my mentorship programs there. The Costa Rica trip is there. You can schedule a free 20-minute Zoom call with me at no cost, where we can talk a little bit more about your personal health or personal business and see how I can possibly help. The Biohacking Unlimited app can be downloaded from there on your smart devices. So anything you need is on biohackingunlimited.com. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you're doing for everyone.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Encouraging Wellness. We hope this serves as an eye-opener to you on new ways to approach your health and wellness. By learning both unique and the best alternative wellness and healing methods, you can live your best life. Listen to more of our episodes at www.hello.health. Be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let us work towards unlocking you and your family's best self. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.